Okay, I would like to call the meeting to order. And for the record, all of the CHAC members are here except for Mary Lou Urquhart, who had an emergency dental appointment. Claire Simmons, who may show up a little bit late, we hope. She had to take her husband to the doctor. And Pam DiOrio emailed me that she and her husband have sold their home here in Bethany Beach and have moved to Lewis, so she will no longer be on the CHAC committee. So the first thing on our agenda is to approve the minutes of our last CHAC meeting, which was just about a year ago. Can believe that. It was March 10th, 2020, and did everybody have a chance to look over the minutes last night, have it ahead of time? Yes. All right, well then are there any corrections that anybody feels should be made? Then we need somebody to make a motion to accept the minutes.
I make a motion, we accept the minutes.
Of April 10th, 2020. And a second? All in favor? Aye. Thanks. Okay, we only have two things on the agenda today. One of them is regarding the house tour that was planned for last October of our historic homes here in Bethany Beach as a fundraiser for the new Coastal Towns Museum that's going to be in Ocean View at some point in time. That's going to include information about Ocean View, Bethany Beach, South Bethany, Fenwick Island, and Millville, I believe. As you know, so South Bethany and Fenwick and Ocean View have already had a house tour in their town. And so it is our turn, and unfortunately last year when we were scheduled to have the house tour, we were visited by COVID and everything was canceled, including that house tour. So it is being rescheduled and for this October. And we are the ones who are responsible for it. So if you remember, this booklet is the ticket for the house tour, and also is part of the fundraising. So I put on your table, excuse me, two sheets. The first one is for all of the people who have already signed a contract and paid for an ad in the booklet. So we have 27, and that's a lot more than we had, I think, when we had our meeting last March. But if anybody has the time and can go out and try to get a few more ads, last year, South Bethany had 35, and that was a good number. Some of the people that maybe you visited before, if they're not on this list for having signed up, maybe you could get back to them. Or any other businesses that you know that aren't on this list, if you can go out and try to get some more ads, that would really be a very big help. And you know, if you do, please email me so that we know who's going where. So, I mean, that would be a big help. If you plan on going someplace, how about saying, I'm going to visit these 10 places, no, 2 or 3 places even. And let's see if we can get the ads up to at least 35, if not more. And then the second page that I gave you, though, that's on your table, has to do with some of the things that need to be done, and, you know, if there's anybody who feels that they have the time and can help out with some of these requirements, in a few weeks, I have to get back to the Coastal Point to Susan regarding the booklet. Coastal Point actually produces the booklet for the Coastal Towns Museum. And these are some of the things that we need. If, you know, I think you all have booklets. On the first page, there's kind of like a little welcome to the tour and a little bit about Bethany Beach. If anybody would like to do a write-up similar to that for the first page, that would be great. And you don't have to volunteer today. If you want to let me know, that would be great. Or if anybody feels they would like to do that, that would be great. We also need information about each house. So I will email you the houses that we are going to have on the tour, the people that have agreed to do that. And if it would mean calling somebody, just one person, and getting more information. So, you know, the information that we have on the walking tour is very minimal. It's like 2 sentences per house. But when you look at the booklet, you know, there's a whole page. Here's an example. There's a whole page for each house. So I'm thinking that the homeowners, you know, they can fill us in on when they bought the house, what they've done to change it, or, you know, just that sort of information. So if anybody wants to volunteer to help with that, that would be great. We also, as you go through the booklet, there's every now and then a little short paragraph or something about something interesting about Bethany Beach. If you wanted to write up something like that, that would be a big help. So those are all things that we need that are time consuming, and I'd really appreciate if some people would take on one of those responsibilities. The only other thing about that, about the tour, is there's going to be 500 tickets, and so far they're going to be sold at Made by Hand in Fenwick, at Bethany Beach Books here in Bethany. I'm not sure about in Ocean View, but there will be a location in Ocean View, and then the Bethany Fenwick Chamber will be selling tickets also. And then another job that would be very helpful if somebody would take on is to kind of coordinate docents for the houses. And that's just, I mean, people from all these other towns, Fenwick and Ocean View and South Bethany, will volunteer, but somebody needs to be the coordinator and, you know, assign docents to different houses. So hopefully maybe, is there anybody who would like to do that? Thanks, Theo. That would be great. That would really be great. So we can talk later, but we can get the names of who to contact in each town, and then they'll get their own docents, and then it's just a matter of assigning them. So anyway, so that's all that has to be done. All those things have to be done, but they have to be, the write-ups and the ads have to be completed in the next 3 weeks. So, you know, any help that you can give is really going to be very much appreciated. So does anybody have any questions or anything about that?
Do you still have the booklets that can be shown to the people from last year?
These?
Yes.
I still have a few. How about, do you have more booklets? You gave them all out? Did you give all yours out, Carol? You what? Okay. I can get more. Kimberly has more. So if we need more, I'll get more. And meet you up here one day if you're going to go someplace, you know, getting some ads. That would be great. All right, then, as far as the museum is concerned, the only other thing on our agenda is the museum. As far as the museum is concerned, when we had to stop meeting, for several months, nothing was done, okay? We just kind of, I think everybody was thinking, well, maybe this is going to be over in a few months, and we'll be meeting again. But as time went on, and I was in touch with Elaine Fay, who is designing the museum for us, it was decided that, you know what, that maybe it'd be more important to just continue. And so I took, as I think I sent an email, I took the information that all of you had given me regarding the different areas, and I continued to write the text for the next 6 months or so. Julie and I worked together because we had to get all the artifacts and all the pictures that we wanted to use. Julie scanned all that information and actually documents that were donated by the Edgar family. And so we were able to get all that work completed with Elaine's guidance, of course. And she now, a couple of weeks ago, or the week before last, I can't exactly remember, she has come up with a design for the museum. And so that's what we want to do today, is to share that with you. And I think the way we're going to do it is Julie's going to give a little commentary as we go through the design. And we will, if you have any questions or any comments after each area. So if you remember, we kind of did our mission statement here. I'm going to just read the mission statement out loud. This was our mission when we started this project 2.5 years ago, I guess. We first wrote a mission, and the mission says, the Dinker Urban Cottage Museum offers to our citizens and visitors an immersive experience of a historically significant early 1900s home, displaying various aspects of the history of Bethany Beach, along with the history of the cottage, enhances and broadens the vision of what life was like during the early days as the town developed. So that is our main mission. It goes on to say the Dinker Urban Cottage, one of the oldest homes in the town of Bethany Beach, built and owned by Mr. William A. Dinker, who was the first president of the Bethany Beach Improvement Company when it was reformed, was originally located on 2nd Street, then it was moved to Garfield Parkway in 1911, and it subsequently served as the United States Post Office during the years from 1922 to 1925. I know, thank you. But I know better, so that's why I said 25. Purchased by the Irvin family in 1925, the home was passed on to 4 generations of women in the same family, and in 2016, the cottage was donated to the town of Bethany Beach and moved to its current location to serve as a town museum. So, keeping that in mind, the reason I read that is keeping that in mind, as we go through the design plan, I think you will see that we've pretty much kept to that. When we first did our outline for this, we decided and approved that there would be 6 areas in the house. The first area would represent the post office. In the area of the house where the post office was, One area would represent the ownership of the house over the years, all of the owners, and some of the architectural elements of the house, since the house is, most of the house is just as it was originally built. Then also, there's an area about the kind of the history and of the Chautauqua movement in America and how it was chosen as the format for when the Christian church first came to Bethany Beach. There's also an area about the beach and the boardwalk, and then about traveling to Bethany in the early days, and then finally the kitchen, and about food and families at that time. So that being said, we'll start the looking through the design plan. And as I said, after each area, if you have a question or want to make a comment, that would be the time to do it. There are about 29 pages to this, so well, we have plenty of time. So we want to go through it. But this would be a good time for you to make any comments or input that you would like to make. So okay, that being said, Julie.
No. Start with page 2. Okay, so this is the bubble design, bubble plan, which just illustrates what Carol just talked about. So the sections that we knew as the living room, the dining room, the kitchen, et cetera, are now grouped, and these other sections as our objectives that we wanted to portray. So and we'll go through this one by one. So we're going to, A1 is our entrance. You're going to be coming in from the front. So if you want to go to the next one, John. So this shows the front of the museum, and using the chairs that were there, the rockers for the outdoor space. And then these two windows will be double-sided images. So it'll welcome you to the museum with some exciting information to make you want to come in and stay. And then, John, if you go to page 9. This is what will be on the other side. So as you enter the front door here, this is our welcome area and entrance into the history of the museum. So here's the welcome section with existing furniture that's going to highlight the 1900s area pieces. So we have the 2 donated chairs from that area. This is our table that we got from Beach Plum Antiques that's going to portray our literature for the house and any other check-related materials. And then over here is a panel that illustrates the architecture of the cottage. So it'll talk about the elements that make this a folk Victorian era cottage, and then it'll show some other homes in the Bethany Beach area that still show those as well. Okay. And then Elaine is going to custom build all these kiosks here. So we can go to the next one. All right. And then as you walk in, facing that is the fireplace. That is going to talk about the history of William Dinker and the significance of the house. Everybody can see this okay? Okay. So let's see. So it'll explain the importance of the home, being the first home built by William Dinker, and the Bethany Improvement Company, his relation to that. And then it'll also talk about the subsequent ownership with the Irvin family. So a few things you'll notice. Everything's consistent throughout the museum, but we have these panels here. And then if you go to the next one, you'll see a close-up version of this. Okay, so this is the history of Dinker. We're going to have his portrait there, a little bit of information about the home, the history, and then where the home was located, the map location, and when it was moved, along with his obituary. Okay, next. And then this is off to the right of that fireplace. There's a museum panel that's going to show the 4 generations of women ownership, along with the designation as a historic site. And then it'll show the moving of the home as well. That's what I just said, yeah, of the registration. Okay, and then throughout the museum, there's going to be these little did you know panels that's going to be on real wood frames. Just information, if you recall Elaine saying you want to give them tidbits that are going to make them want to learn more about the house. So it's just interesting pieces of information that Carol was great in finding a lot of these. And you'll see them scattered throughout. And you'll see her different design elements with the little corner pieces, the color scheme, a lot of thought process went into this. So, okay, so then this is part of that museum rail that talks about the cottage ownership. So it's going to have deeds. We're not sure, are they going to be the actual deeds or reproductions? They are going to be the actual deeds. We do have 2, and it just talks about a nice timeline of how the house moved through ownership. Okay, next. And then in the center of the room, because we couldn't fully furnish that room with furnishings of the time period, she's going to showcase a couple of key pieces on a platform. So as you walk in, there's going to be plenty of room to walk around this information, but you'll still be able to see these pieces. So we got this table to go along with that. This is one of the chairs that we have. She loves this rocker, right? Very, very indicative of that time period. And a little lamp, and another did you know piece on there. Okay, and that's it. So any questions of that area? You want to interject anything at this point before we go to the next?
Anybody else have any questions?
Theo, you want to go back one, John?
Theo?
Okay, thanks.
I just had one question, and maybe it doesn't matter. I love the panels in the windows, but how does that affect the light in the room?
It actually doesn't affect the light in a negative way at all.
Speak in your microphone, Carol.
Oh, I'm sorry. Elaine, I'm sorry. Actually, when Elaine was finished the plan, we met with her. Julie and I met with her to go through it. So the actual plan is, then we each have a copy, but maybe hold it up so that they can see. It's quite large document, okay? And so she wanted to go through it, so we went through it with her. And she took into consideration the amount of light. There is going to be adjunct lighting. She's going to have put in some track lighting in that room to focus on the fireplace and to focus on the rail where the documents are. So that's going to make up for to doing this. And one of the concerns that we had was that, those windows are original. They're over 100 years old. And part of the idea of doing that was to protect them. So there's those 2 windows and then 2 windows on the side. So I think the thought was not wanting anybody to lean on them or press on them or something like that.
And they're also going to be made of a material that it's going to protect what's inside as well, right? From the harsh sun, or there's going to be a certain coating.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes, good thought.
Okay, so moving next. So this goes along with the objectives that support our mission. So the idea was to present displays throughout the first floor that relate to life during the early days of the town as it developed. And as Carol mentioned earlier in our plan, we're going to highlight those in the different rooms. So this is what we formerly knew as the dining room. This is going to be our Chautauqua area. It's going to be split with Chautauqua and beach life, but this section will focus on Chautauqua. So this is you coming in from the living room over here, entering over here, and to your left is going to be the tabernacle display. And she's going to be coordinating all this beadboarding as well as part of the design and changing the color scheme to be consistent, but new in each room. Okay, and here are your did you knows on either side again. And we're also working on doing a mural behind it to support this. And when she went through this design process, it may look like there's a lot of added space at the top, but when walking through, there's only so much that you can read at eye level. So she kept that in mind when placing this information. So, okay, next. Then this is the adjacent to your left would be that model. As you're looking straight back as if you're going towards the back porch, that's this panel. And this will talk about Chautauqua in the moment where we might be adjusting some of this. But it talks about the whole Chautauqua movement, and then FD Power, and then the purchase of land, how the people were encouraged to settle here. And then it goes into the deeds and the brochures that were used to entice people to buy their land. Okay, next. Oops. Yeah, so that's it for Chautauqua. But this is in the same room. So this is actually the corner cabinet. She's utilizing that as a piece of information. And it'll just explain the whole life at the beach. Okay, that whole panel there. And then here is the focus on the storms, the lifeguards, the Coast Guard. Okay, and then to support that even further, next. Then we'll have the actual the bathing suits, the lifeguard jacket, the guard uniform, and then on the other side of this panel, there's going to be the Coast Guard uniform. So it's a tight space, but it's well thought out so that you can move through, and behind these, they're two-sided so that you can see and several people can be in the area at one time. Okay, the custom glass cases, and then again using the white beadboard frame, and these are custom wood kiosks that she's using throughout. Okay, and then this is just a close-up of that information. So again, peril and protection, that's the beach storms, life-saving, and then life at the beach. And then she did add a little testimonial just as a more personal touch to Eric, right?
One of, yes, one of Tina's ancestors' summer at the beach, right? So she's going to put it somewhere. She didn't put it anywhere because you were asking me yesterday. She didn't put it anywhere yet, but she wants to use it.
Okay, so that's it for this area. Anybody have a question about that? Yeah, it's dated, what, 1926? Yeah, my summer vacation.
Why does it have 1926
Because my mother was born in 1912.
on it? Oh, okay. So when as Julie was describing, I mean, this is the time when we have to come up with any ideas of any feedback we want to give to Elaine. And we did, I did say to her that back at that Chautauqua area, I felt that we're going to use the tabernacle, we hope, that's right here. But that wall is all blank. And then over on the side wall, it's so busy, I felt. So Elaine's going to try to, is going to make a little adjustment and move some of that information over. You see how crowded that wall is? And then the other wall has just the tabernacle there. So she's going to redesign that area a little bit so that I think it's appropriate that information about the Chautauqua is right where the tabernacle is. because that's where they had the Chautauquas.
I guess I wonder why there's New York State.
Oh, can you use your microphone?
Yeah, I guess I wonder why there's New York State, because, yes, Chautauqua was started in New York State, but it's rather prominent, and the men who developed the town were Pennsylvania. They were Pittsburgh.
Because, well, you know what? You can't really see what the text says, okay? But the reason that is to show where Chautauqua Lake is and where Chautauqua Institute is.
Where the movement
Yeah.
began.
That's the whole state of New York, though, isn't it?
Yeah, but the thing is,
She has it.
it's marked. So remember that when these are finally produced, they're going to be a lot larger. But yeah, it's to show that's where there actually is a Chautauqua, a town and a lake and everything else.
Yeah,
This doesn't necessarily, the text here, and I will send it to you when it's completed. It's in the process of being proofread by a couple of people, and I want to wait till we have it all finished, being proofread and everything. It gives a little background about the whole Chautauqua movement. So that was the reason, Tina.
Pittsburgh is only 3 hours from there, and Chautauqua from, like, New York City is probably 6 or 8 hours.
Right.
Okay, John, 21, please. Okay, so then you'll be coming from the dining room area, which is now area 4, I believe. This is the area you'll be coming into, which is now early travel to Bethany, okay? So this is the doorway that would normally take you to the previous dining room. And then it just starts to talk about the journey. The back porch, yeah. This is what we know as the back porch, which is now area 5E. Okay? And that wall, back up one sec, please. This is the bathroom door. So to give you an idea where this is located, it's right there. So you can see it from the Chautauqua area, and that's the next place you go to. Okay, next. All right, and then this is the wall facing the dining area, the Chautauqua area. And what it talks about is the travel. We're going to mention the Loop Canal, the Alley May. We're in the process of looking into having a model built of the Alley May. And then it talks about the arduous journey to get here. And then on the other panel, again, using these kiosks and beadboard placement, we're going to have the bus lantern, and then more of the travel to get here with the custom panels. Okay, yeah, so that's a closer look. And then some testimonials. And this, we're not sure about whether to do the audio or not. We talked about that as a possibility. And that's where this would be if we decided to go with that.
The audio that Julie was referring to is, and I know that we've all read it, is Marjorie Errett's retelling of when she was a child and getting to Bethany. So we at first thought it was going to be an audio, and we're still in conference about that. But otherwise, it's there as part of this display, right?
Did you have a question, Tina?
The postcard that or the photograph that's been used for the bus, I guess it's because of space, but is the right side is cut off. And one of the things that I think was very interesting was that there's a woman standing there holding a parrot, and that's not on there.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Can you go back one, please, John? I think there was a better picture. One more. This one?
Yes, that's the one that is cut off from the woman reading.
Now, this is not the picture that you usually see of the bus.
Well,
This is a different one.
yeah, but it still would have had the woman. I mean, it's still cut off.
It's a whole different group.
Yeah.
If Well, how about a little bit later, maybe you can look at it a little bit closer and see, but this is a whole different group of people.
Yeah, we were trying to use pictures that you haven't really seen before, just to introduce new images in the museum.
But we can reconsider if, you know,
It's just that I thought that was really funny that she brought her parrot.
that she had a
brought
parrot.
her parrot. And the only reason
I've
I
never
know it is because I've watercolored the picture so many times. Right. But, I mean,
Okay, so maybe look at it a little bit closer later, and you'll see that this isn't that picture.
yeah, I see there's more people in
Right,
the bus.
yeah.
Okay, so that's it for this section. Any other questions about that? No. Okay, so moving on to food and family, which is area 6, technically the kitchen area. So we do have our prized items here, the stove. You can't see the sink, but the sink is part of that. And also, I'm sorry, the sink? I don't think you see the sink, but anyway, Elaine was great where she pulled these stock photos from the time period that she's using as a mural behind some of these, which she calls cintras, which are design elements that are on top of the photo. And this is where we feature the different elements of food and family, the food sources, the farms, the old store, the farmers, fishing, crabbing, and then, little information on each piece. John, you want to go? Yeah. And then the ice box with the tongs, and we're going to have some ads from old magazines or information that supports these elements in this room. So, and different props. Window treatments have not been decided yet on the rooms. This is just to give you an idea of the other pieces. Okay, and then labels. This is within the pantry portion. So these are some labels that she's going to display. And then this is that crab trawler that we have. There's going to be a little write-up on how that was used. Okay, that's going to be mounted on the wall. This is the wall within the pantry, so this would be the door going towards the post office. No, oh wait, no, I'm wrong. Wait, nope, that's to the kitchen. So this is the other side of the kitchen. Yeah. Okay. All right, and then this is the pantry. Just some things. You know, she's going to do some recipe cards, other pieces that we have that are going to support that area. Yeah, I know, fried muskrat. Oh, but that is something that was a delicacy and is to some extent today. Okay. All right, and then if you would go back to page 4 here, John. Okay, because then from the kitchen area, back up if you want a question about the kitchen before we go to the next. Anybody?
I just want to point out that in the kitchen, next to the icebox, did you see that it says the icebox and the wood stove? So we have as sidebars. That was one of the things that she asked me to come up with. It's a little history of the icebox and a little history of the wood-burning stove. And then we also, I'm currently finishing the history of the sink. I mean, not of the sink, but of the water pump.
Yeah, and that's not pictured. That's over here.
Right.
Okay, and now we can go to page 4. Okay, so this is the post office. This is great. We've found this piece. That's an actual window teller of a post office. So, teller window, sorry. And it's going to be propped with pieces of mail and letters. So that's one thing we're on the hunt for if you know anybody that has actual letters from the time. And she's building this great kiosk again to support that. More did you knows, and also this is the timeline of the postmasters. So a little bit of biography on each one if we have it. This is another one of those great stock photo images. So if you're looking at, this is the side of that teller window with a recreation of what it was like at the time. And then, oh wait, back up. Thanks. This is the post offices throughout time. So before it got to Bethany, and then actually, what is this, Carol? The piece that talks about the this. I think it's the next. Is it on the next? No.
The United States Postal Service puts out, to this day, a sheet that tells about all the changes and updates of post offices all over the country. And so in 1905, there was a little thing about the first post office in Bethany Beach, which was just a summer post office. So it's just a little blurb about it.
Okay, so yeah, so this is a closer of that graphic. Talks about the early years of the post offices, different locations, and this is the, that graphic that talks about the route and how long it took to get here. And then it will show the current post office in Bethany Beach. Okay, and then back one, please. And then this is the other wall. So looking at this would be the entryway to the living room, and this is the entryway to the kitchen. So this is that wall. And she's got a great mural with all these postcards, and Tina gave us a great deltiology, the study of postcards, and this panel will feature and educate on the different postcard eras and showing a different piece. And this kiosk over here is going to be reproductions of these postcards. So you'll feel like you're back there. Mailbag is another prop we have yet to get. This is an iPad or wooden easel if we want for more video supportive materials in that room. And again, another did you know? And if you look at the next, the table we don't have as well, but that's on the list. So next, please. Back one more. Okay, this is a close-up of that deltiology panel, the study and collection of postcards. All right.
Julie,
Next, yes.
Julie, are any of the in the kiosk that's sitting on that desk on the table? Mm-hmm. Are there any postcards scanned in that one, or is it just information about postcards?
This is going to be reproductions of those era postcards on that carousel.
So the only ones are on the carousel and on the wall, and they're reproductions.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, and then.
But we also, was also suggested, and as the postcard queen, I'd like to ask you, she also suggested that if we wanted to, we could have on that video, a video and just show all different postcards. I don't know if I thought that we needed the carousel and that. What do you think?
Well, there were, 80 postcards? There were 80 postcards, and if you looked at them for something like 10 seconds each, it would have taken like 3 or 4 minutes. And they were done by age and area.
Oh, the one you mean for the timeline of the postcards? You gave us 80? Oh, wow.
That could be a did you know? That could be one of these.
No. What she's talking about is she gave us 80 postcards that you must have scanned.
I did, yeah.
But we're only using so few.
Right, 'cause there's
Isn't
only
that
so
what
much
you mean,
space.
Tina? Yes. That we're, pardon? That we're only using so few of them.
Well, she took a representative sample, so John, if you
No,
go back to one,
I know
please.
she did, but I think that that's something that I would ask about, and if we wanted to show more of them, yeah.
Well, the other thing is the postcard that she puts the information on, which I won't get picky about, but actually postcards were sent for 2 cents in the beginning, and then they went to 1 cent because everything was sent by the same amount of money. But she's showing the back of a 1962 postcard, and she doesn't. It merely shows the, when the postcards, what the prices were. But I mean, we have postcards back to 1906 and whatever. It seems like it would have been more interesting to have had an old postcard and not a 1962 postcard.
Because I think that that's something that we could address. It is, some of those older postcards are very interesting, I think. So that's something we can talk about.
Oh, so you're talking about as the did you know?
A lot
Is
of
that
them
the
are
one you're
in
referring-
the mural, you know.
That one? Is that what you're trying to do? Okay. That's an easy fix. We can. Okay, but yeah, pretty smart the way she did this with the showing the stamp with the name of the postmaster and then the supportive bio. Okay. And that is it. Right?
Okay, so how about some feedback?
John, I'm going to go to page 20.
Any suggestions? Or any?
No, I just wanted to say overall, I thought it was excellent. And, with Tina's comments, taken into consideration, I think she's done a wonderful job.
And, since there's fewer of us than I thought would be, you can have a look at the actual plan if you want to. And I have to say that, pardon me? Oh. I have to say that going through it over there at the house was was a lot easier than this, but Elaine is getting ready to start producing some of these panels, so this is the time for any feedback. When I say about feedback, I would like you to be thinking, and you can always email me or something. Are there things that you think are missing? Are there things that you think, like I appreciate your input, Tina, about the other postcards, and we could have on that thing, we could have a revolving thing. As you said, it would only take a few minutes to look at a whole bunch of them, yeah. Anything else, Theo?
Did have one question. We talked about a gift shop somewhere. Is that still in the picture or no?
Yes, so in the living room area, when you came in the door, and as you're facing the door to the left, there's that, it's actually an old washstand that we bought from George Cole at the Beach Plum. Okay, and so Elaine's idea was that we could use that it's right there on the left, that's maybe where whoever is the docent of the day would maybe sit, and that on that table we would display like our note cards and videos, and that would be like a little store. So we'd have samples of things we have, and then that piece of furniture has 2 doors, and you open it up and you can store things in there.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
The table that's in the living room on the pedestal, that's a Jenny Lind table. It's a spool. It's a spool table, And I think it's interesting that it ended up as a Jenny Lind spool table, because it was she had a spool bed and a spool side table and things like that. So that's just a happy accident.
You mean Jenny Lind, your
Grandmother? Yeah, that's a spool table.
Oh, that's interesting. Now tell me
That's
what.
not something we need to put in there, but it's just that it's interesting that you ended up there. That table,
Right.
is a Jenny Lind table.
That is interesting because
That locally.
we actually purchased it locally.
Yeah, yeah.
And the chair that she's using for this little display was actually donated to us by the Ocean View Historical Society.
Oh, well, that's nice. Yeah, yeah. I'm concerned about looks versus practicality. I find the panels in the museum somewhat difficult to read, sometimes with pink. I had a friend who was almost legally blind, and when she had to fill out Social Security things, the government decided to print this thing in pink, and it's hard to read. And there were two places that I noticed one time where it was, I think it was showing the background of the lots, and it it had the map of the lots of the original selling of the lots, and I think that whole background was was pink, and I don't think you could see it that well. There was another place where.
You mean on this plan here?
Correct, on that plan. On that plan, it's a looks thing. It looks good, but it's not, particularly readable. The other place on the lots thing, it said that the lots were sold for $70,000 to $100,000, and that's just not true. It said 70 to 100,000. Now you can't tell whether it means 70,000 to 100,000, or whether it says. But there was never a lot sold for anything more than $120,000. I mean, $120.
Yeah, it's not 70.
Well, that's what it says on this.
Page 14.
That's why we're having proofreading done.
Right. Well, I just wonder, I hope someone knows that the lots were never sold for $100,000. The whole Beth.
The original 700 lots.
700
I think that's
lots,
the
and then-
total.
And then read the rest of it. It
No,
says.
I think you're right, Tina, I see it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And in those days, it would never be $100,000 anyway.
Well, no. I mean,
Yeah, no,
it was
right.
It was never that. It was on the lot.
We'll definitely double check it.
Yeah, on the lot prices, the prices on the oceanfront lots were $120. They went back to $40. So they were $120 back to $40.
All right, so a lot of this information was taken from the pamphlet. I think you've read it.
Mm-hmm.
Arthur Aslan, who was a member of the church, wrote a pamphlet, and a lot of this information was taken from that pamphlet.
Yeah, I just hate to see it
Right.
memorialized.
Okay, we will double check it for sure.
Okay.
And you're going to forward the information, right, to them, once it's
I
proved?
don't know. No, but thanks. We'll have to double. So it says 70 to 100,000.
For the total, right, the original.
Oh yeah, no. You know what?
Yeah, but it doesn't read that way is the problem.
Okay, well then we will definitely
Yeah.
check it. Okay,
Mhm.
and read it over for sure. And the Edgar family did give us those original, which I really was very happy that we were displaying, deeds. So one deed, the deed on the left, is the deed from Jenny Addy to William Short, who owned the house before the Irvin family bought it. And the other one is the deed from William Short to Ida Mae Irvin. And those are original deeds. So I think we're lucky to have those. Anything else?
There's a place on page 10, which has faux Victorian, and the other part says folk Victorian.
I know.
So we need to decide which it
Tina,
is.
we already know. You already told me.
Okay, okay. Well, you were asking. I didn't know if anybody else wanted to.
No, and also, as I said, we have 2 proofreaders that are going to probably pick up on that easily. Carol, what about you? Did you have any comments or anything?
I think, like Theo said, I think it's very well done, and I am really looking forward to actually going in to see it, because some of the rooms but I remember them as, are not that, it's some other designation now, so I'm trying to follow it and thinking, where am I in the house? But I think it's quite nice.
Thanks. Jan, anything from you?
The only thing, is anything being done to the back porch, the outside? I thought we were going to have like,
Okay, talk more into your microphone.
I thought there was going to be more of a, like with a beach chair and. that
You mean
kind
on
of
the
stuff.
front porch?
No, on the back porch.
Oh, you mean on the inside porch? The inside back porch?
Yeah,
I think that the porch furniture that we have, I think the plan is to put it on the front porch.
so nothing's going to be, because like Tina said, they had, her aunt had played tennis, there was a tennis court there at one time, and I think that would be something that would be good to be addressed. So-
About the tennis court?
Well, yeah, just like a little
Yeah.
note that there used to be a tennis court. You could have an old
Um,
tennis racket or something.
Yes, I think that we could put that in. That was, it was item A that gave that, you're right. So that can be added, actually, yeah, I think that is. And as I said, I know, I think that if you could read the text, a lot of it would make more sense. However, we most of all wanted you to be able to see the kind of design that she's come up with,
Yeah.
and see what you thought about it, and if any input that you have. So I think when you can read the text, it makes a big difference also.
And keep in mind, we talked about this, that it's no longer just walking through a home. It was the design of a museum for that time period. So that's what came into play with all these elements too. Remember, our original plan was to fill it with
Well, originally,
buckets
we
and-
said that it was going to be a kind of a representative of a home of the time and a museum. But as we went along, Elaine said, that's going to be very, very hard to do, because if you have all this furniture, then you can't have displays. I mean, there's only so much room. And she recommended that she thought it would be of more interest to the public to have displays rather than just have furniture. And that does make sense, I think. The house is lends itself very well to what Elena has designed. But if you put in you couldn't fit in like a dining room table and chairs and all that sort of thing, and the displays that we have. So it was making a choice, and as Elaine said, this is no longer a house. This is a museum. So,
One
right.
question I had was to do with the chandelier. In the write-up about Aunt Ida May, it discussed about the funny story, which I think is a really good one, about the Sid Bennett shooting squirrels and at the chandelier. I wonder if anybody will ask where the chandelier is, or whether we just I'm going to try to sell the chandelier, so I just need to know whether there's any chance of using it or not. I don't think there probably is.
I'll ask.
Yeah, yeah.
But I think probably, I would say probably not from the point of view that it's not really a dining room now. It's a museum. So, you know, a lot of the things that we have aren't going to be used because of the fact that the choice has been to have these displays instead. So that's probably true. But the story about the squirrel, the story about the shooting the chandelier is in there. You read it, right? Right. Yeah, thank you. It is funny. It's a good life story. Yes, no, I think it's interesting. Anything else? Well, I guess that if you do think of something, you can always email. So in general, I think that the comments that were made are going to be helpful. We will go back to Elaine with some of them. And otherwise, she's going to proceed with, she's ready to start building these displays. And the hope is, it's not going to be by, Memorial Day anymore, but hopefully by sometime in July, I think that we'll be able to have an opening and hopefully be able to have visitors there, which would be very exciting. Julie, anything else? You? Okie dokie then. The only other thing I put on here was, John, were there any questions? Okay, thank you. To discuss future meetings and work that's required. So, I don't think we're ready to go back to having meetings every month as we always have with CHAC because of the fact that until things improve even, more, things open up more, we are definitely going to be continued to work on these two projects. But right now, it's pretty much up to Elaine as far as the museum is concerned. And once the text is proofread and edited and finalized, I guess you might say. At that point, I will send you the text so that you can read it. But as far as the excuse me, Coastal Towns Museum, I appreciate your volunteering, Theo, to coordinate the docents for that day. And I don't know if does anybody else feel comfortable helping out with any of these other things at this time? All right. Even if you were willing to call one of the homeowners and just get the information, and then we can always write it up later. All right, well, if that's the case, then I think that we can adjourn the meeting. And I think that what I'll do is, when it's necessary to have a meeting, we'll have it, but we won't have regular meetings until the COVID concerns are over. So can somebody make a motion to adjourn the meeting? And second it?
Second.
Okay, everybody all agree?
Yes.
Then let's go. Thank you very much, everybody.